Muted.
Basically go through the chapters so you create a new normal. And then the chapter 1, 2, and 3 we've already done. And plan your work, that was chapter 1. Understand what you control is chapter 2. Manage your activities, not your results, chapter 3. Those are past webinars. And so now this week we're going to go through, is your thinking taking you where you want to go? So this is an example of a GPS. If I put in my GPS, if I'm in Chicago and I want to go to St. Louis, I put in my GPS New York City. My New York City, because the GPS is neutral. It only takes you where you programmed it to go. And if I want to go to St. Louis, but I'm programmed to go to New York City, the direction and the information is going to lead me to New York City, the opposite direction. So it is, your brain is neutral. Your brain subconsciously is going to take you where you programmed it. And so let's go to the, that's the issue. And in the book it talks about the 5 things. Here, the programming creates our beliefs, which create our attitudes, choices, and then behaviors. And there, up at the top, you see behaviors and actions, which is your results. So what does that mean? And Miss Katie Huff, if you can get ready and unmute your phone, we're going to just go to an example of this. If you don't think you're worthy of success, then you believe that you aren't going to really succeed. So your attitude's kind of like, I'm good, but I'm not great, and I don't really deserve this. So your choices actually sabotage your success. And I want Katie to kind of share a personal story of how she was programmed to think one way and got a breakthrough. And she changed the programming in her mind. She had to have a different thought process, and it changed her results. So Katie, over to you about your little story.
Thanks. Can you hear me, Darce?
Yeah, newest ShieldNation Millionaire Club member, Katie Huff.
Thanks, Darce. Happy New Year to ShieldNation family. I'm grateful to obviously be here on the first Friday of the year and to share with you how I had this aha moment, and it was in 2006, right before I got my $100,000 ring in 2007. And I was at one of the many women's retreats that we have out here in Montana. And I was doing all the things that I thought was right, you know, the actions and keeping the notes and doing the activity, and felt like I was just, you know, on the treadmill doing everything that I needed to do, but I wasn't getting the results that I wanted. And we had this particular speaker that actually was in Montana with us, and she pulled me up on the stage and said, we're going to go through a little exercise. And she literally said, let's show Katie and congratulate Katie on her $250,000 ring. Well, and all the women, of course, went crazy, and it was all very loving and supportive, but I wasn't thinking big enough. And I was thinking, you know, just 100,000, which is a huge milestone to accomplish as well, but because she inserted belief in me, and I obviously got very emotional, and as I am now, and I just was like this switch went off in me, you guys, in my heart, in my soul, that, you know, God wants us to have a life of abundance. And Jeremiah 29:11 I have over my bed, where he wants to give us hope and a promise and a future and not to harm us. And I internalized it and I believed it. I made my vision board. I started looking at my vision board. I took a picture of, actually at that point there wasn't anyone in the room that was a $250,000 ring earner, but I took the $100,000 ring and put it on my finger, looked at it, visualized it, felt it, started to see myself as the $100,000 ring earner, and literally visualized the dress I would have on at the executive director banquet, my speech I started to work on. I started to believe it, see it, feel it, and I had an amazing year and hit my $100,000 ring. So it truly was just a life, obviously, changing moment where someone instilled in me what God has wanted us all to believe from the day we were born, and the light switch went off, and it was just an amazing year, and I look forward to all of us having that this year. So I'll turn it back to you, Darcy.
So how long were you in the business, Katie, before you had this revelation?
Well, I was, part-time from 1999 until 2003. And 2004 was my very first year, full-time. And we didn't have, at that time, the Identity Shield in the state of Montana. So it was available in the country, but not in Montana. So 2004, 5, and 6, I was working on executive director with only having access to the legal plan. And back there, obviously, it was a little bit different. But in 2006, so it's probably 2 years full-time. I got my $100,000 ring in my third year full-time.
Do you remember waking up every morning with a new vision? Did it propel you to make more calls? Did it make you more confident when you went out in the marketplace? Yeah. Because your inner man, your inside, in order to change the outside, we have to change the inside. And your inside changed. Were you, so is that what happened to you?
Because I was much more confident, and I knew that the activity was going to create the results. Instead of focusing on the results like we have talked in the past on the webinars, is just, let go and let God let the results play out the way it's supposed to, and what you sow you shall reap. And I was doing as much or more activity. However, the attitude and the belief and the confidence was different, because I knew that something would pop. And actually within 2 months, I made over $60,000 in 2 months. And these were accounts that I actually had been massaging and seeing for 2 or 3 years. So I never ever gave up on them, but I kept, dripping on them going in, but doing more activity and letting go of the control of the results, and just doing the activity, and the results happened. I mean, it was just like they all popped. And that's the one thing, at least because I was focusing and have been in the B2B arena for the majority, not all, but because I'm still recruiting all the time, but I was doing all the calls, all the activities, seeing the people, telling the story, and letting go of the results, and just praying and believing and seeing, and getting the inside in congruency with the activity versus just being a robot and a machine. So it was definitely a belief and an internal, just confidence and trust. The big thing was trusting that the activity is going to create the results. There's no way it can't. It's just a matter of when, and trusting that process. So yeah.
Well, that's a change then. Your programming went from, I got to be better, I need a better company, or somebody's got to like this, outside controls, to where, hey, what do I control? Your programming changed to my activity. What I do is what I control. So you decided to, based on the fact of your experience and your breakthrough, you started to realize, yeah, it is seed time and harvest. It is the seeds I'm planting. So I'm going to control what I can control. I'm going to be positive. I'm going to serve people. I'm going to plant seeds, and I will get the harvest. It's just the law it's actually literally a godly law, and you can trust that. And so, great story, Katie. So good to hear. That's what you did. And I'm going to take this. I mean, you can do programming things. If you can imagine a young boy as he's growing up being told, you're nothing, you'll never amount to anything, you're worthless, nothing you do will work, and you're no good at anything. And that's what he's hearing. That's his programming. So his belief is, man, I'm not going to ever make it in life. His attitude is negative, and everything's cynical. His choices are bad. He's going to probably make bad choices. His behaviors are going to be kind of ugly. So you meet those kind of kids. You see those kids, those troubled kids. And I actually worked with one of these individuals who was told by his dad he was he was worthless and he's never going to amount to anything. Don't ever try to own a business. And he wanted to own a business. He was 40 years old. He's making $40,000 a year, and he was working and doing what he loved, and that was becoming a physical therapist. Well, he asked me to help him to open a business, and so his dream was a physical therapist. So I said, the first thing I need to work on is your programming. And so this is something we just say is kind of important. It is the most important thing. And I had heard how he spoke about himself out of his mouth, and it was bad. And so we went through. I said, before I can talk to you about success in business, I need to talk to you about what's on your inner man, what the spirit of your mind is telling you you are. We literally have 1,200 self-talk words a minute talking to us. 1,200 words a minute talking to us about us. So what are those words saying to you? What is your programming? And in order to change your outside, you got to change your inside. So so this individual, we worked on how he thinks about him and lined up his thinking to be what God says about him versus what his dad said about him. And he had to break out of those things. And we worked on this for 2.5 months. And he turned into, he started his business, and we worked on a lot of other details for that. But his first year, he did $500,000. So he went from a $40,000 employee mindset person with a dream, but it was always crushed by these thoughts. We changed that programming, built those beliefs, changed those attitudes, his choice better, his behavior got better, and he became an entrepreneur. By his 6th year, he's doing over $1 million in his business growth. And so an incredible success story of changing programming. So I want to go to a programming I think could be potentially wrong in some people, and we're going to talk about this story that the story of the talent. And many people have heard about the idea that, I'm supposed to produce or whatever, and I'm just as good as I can be, and those kind of things. So let's look at kind of from the maker, the creator, the master, and his perspective on you and what you're supposed to do in this world. And so the story goes like this. There's a man going off on a trip, and he calls the servants together and delegates responsibilities to them. And to one he gave 5 talents, to another 2 talents, to a third 1 talent, depending on their abilities. Then he left right off. So the first servant went to work and doubled his master's investment. The second did the same, but the man with the single talent dug a hole and carefully buried his master's money. After a long absence, the master of those 3 servants comes back and settles up with them. The one that he gave 5 talents showed him how he had doubled his investment. And the master said, "Good work, you did your job well. From now on, you will be my partner." And then the servant with the 2 talents showed him that he had also his master's investment, and his master commended him. "Good work, you did your job well. From now on, you can be my partner." And then the servant given 1 talent said, "Master, I know you have high standards, and you hate careless ways, that you demand the best, but I was afraid I might disappoint you. So I found a hiding place and secured your money. Here it is, safe and sound, to the last cent." And the master was furious. "It's a terrible way to live," he said. "It's criminal to live cautiously like that. If you knew I was after the best, why did you do less than the least? The least you could have done would have been to invest the sum with the bankers, or at least I could have gotten a little interest. Take the 1 talent," and this is what the master does. He takes the 1 talent away from the guy that didn't double it and gives it to the one that risked the most, that produced the most. And he gave the talent to the guy with the 5 that doubled it to 10. And he said, "Get rid of this play it safe attitude when you won't go out on a limb." So this philosophy, okay, this is the master talking to his servants, and this is a biblical philosophy. The idea is when sometimes you think, well, if I just do a little bit, if I play it safe, if I, hold my talent that I was given and I don't let it out to the world, if I don't go out there, I'm okay, I'm kind of shy, I'm kind of nervous, I don't want to offend anybody, I don't want to ask anybody for a sale, I don't want to make anyone. So you do all these concepts in your mind, this philosophy, this programming that has told you to be timid, to be less than, possibly, is holding you back. And I just want to give you what the actual master of who made us thinks about that. When you take your talent and you don't take it out and produce more and serve the world with your talent, it's not good. He called the guy with the 1 talent, he called him a wicked and evil servant. Wicked and evil for not taking the thing that was given to him and doing something with it. And so I want to make another note. You see 5 talents, you see 2 talents. Notice how the master with the 2 talent didn't ask the person with 2 talents to create the 10. So the person with 2 doubled their 2, so that was their skill set. They had 2 talents, and they were able to take their 2 talents and make it into 4 talents, where the one with 5 was able to make it into 10. But notice he didn't say, how could you only be at 2? How could you only have doubled the 2 into 4? He wasn't trying to make the person with 2 talents become the person that had 5 talents. So whatever you are and wherever you are and whatever gifts you have been given, that is who you are, and that is okay. So your responsibility is to take your talent, your gifts, your inner man, your thoughts about you, line them up with truth, and then become what, like Katie did, her story of production changed when her inner thoughts about herself changed. So it starts on the inside and shows up on the outside. And that's the story. But one of the philosophies of our world is, oh, you don't have anything? Let me take from the guy who has 5 and give it to the guy who has 1. All right, well, the world system does, because they think that it's good to take from somebody who has 5, and his job is to take care of the one who has 1, when that is not what this is all about. With this story is about inside of a lady who was on the welfare system. The welfare system, the philosophy is, they teach a philosophy, and what is happening is there are 3rd and 4th generation welfare families, because they are not changing their programming. Their programming is taught and passed on and passed on. Well, one lady was in church, actually, and she thought, and she was trained that the government was supposed to take care of her. It was okay that her housing, her food, and all of her everything came from a source that she didn't participate in contributing to. She thought that was normal, that was okay. She was involved in a lot of bad things. She didn't have any contribution to the world. And somebody said, this is not how God created you to live. And she was convicted. And she said, I need to change. And her programming, she started to get different information, because you can only know what you know based on what you believe. And I'm going to go to the next slide here. The greatest enemy of man is ignorance of their true self. So this individual who's in the welfare system, because everyone told her this is how you do it, and this is how you get the money, and this is how you get your house paid for, and all these things, was operating based on what she was told. So her results of her life were a reflection of what she was aware of, and she was only aware of what she had been taught. Now, here's the statement here at the bottom that's so important. It says, ain't what you don't know that gets you stuck. It's what you know for sure that ain't so. So she for sure knew this was the way it was. But that information, so she was the one with the 1 talent. Maybe she had 2 talents, and maybe she had 5. Actually, she had 5. And they were buried. They were buried, and nobody could see them, because she had bought into something that she thought was for sure, but it wasn't true. She was buying into a concept, a belief system, a programming that said, this is how you make money, this is how you do life. And so she broke out of that, and now she's a millionaire. She's a millionaire by creating a company, by bringing contribution, by doing something with what was in her. And she became a multi-millionaire. So this is a welfare person that became a multi-millionaire because of her programming changing and her getting connected to a new truth. And that's what it's all about. Hello, we are in a hotel lobby of Keys, everyone, so it's a little loud in the background right now. But things need to be changed in you for things to be changed for you. So now I want to give you another example. Let's look at this light. You see this light, and you want this light to release brilliance, to light up the room. All right, so if in this lamp you have a 20-watt bulb, the bulb on the left, you're not going to get much coverage. You're not going to get much brilliance into the room. So you say to yourself, well, the problem is the bulb. The problem is that there's not enough light. So you say, I'm going to change it from the 20-watt. I'm going to put a 200-watt bulb in there. And if you put a 200-watt bulb in there, then you can have more brilliance, more illumination. It's 10 times more, actually. Now, in both cases, the electricity is what is coming into the bulb. Okay, the electricity is what is fueling the power. But if you lack the understanding, you would look at the lamp, and it would appear that the 20-watt bulb is producing the power. All right, and the 200-watt bulb is producing a different kind of power. But if you look a little closer, you understand it's not, the bulb is not the power. The power is unlimited, and the power is going to the source. The only limitation on the power is in the form of the instrument through which the power flows. So in this case, it's the bulb. All right, understand, the only limitation on the power that is in the form of the instrument through which the power flows. In this case, it's the bulb. So if you put on a bulb that allows more of the power to flow through it, to be expressed through it, then it produces more light. It produces a better result. So if you change the bulb, then you change the limitations on the power, and you change the result. That's what we're talking about. If you change your bulb, your thinking, if you are a 20-watt thinker, and you just learn how to change the way you think, watt thinker, you'll literally release more. So the power is there to flow through you, but your brain, it hits your brain, it hits your light bulb, it hits the way you think, and it only can release 20 watts. But the potential is unlimited. So the reason that you haven't released more than 20 watts, maybe, and you have 200 watts available to you, the power is storing there, it's waiting to flow through, but the brain, the mind, the thinking, the limitation, the programming has stopped it, and it's not allowing it to go out, is because you're not aware. And so what you're not aware of, to change, we have to go within. When we fail to go within, we go without. So the kingdom of God is within. We have to change the unconscious until you are conscious. So Katie was unconscious about the fact that she had a concept in her that was not allowing her to enjoy or even receive or release success because of this lie that was stuck in there. So she broke that, changed the light bulb, put on a new idea, put on a new programming, and then all this power flew through her, and she reached her $100,000 rank. So that's kind of a way to look at it, is changing your bulb. And again, my final story is, you might have heard me tell you this. This is a true story. Of Miles Monroe went to the Egyptian pyramids, and there was a barrel of seeds, wheat seeds, that were in a pyramid for 4,000 years. And Miles Monroe said, those seeds have been in the pyramid for 4,000 years. Are those seeds, do they still have the potential? And they said, yeah, we actually took the seeds out of the pyramid, 4,000-year-old seeds, planted them in the right environment, and the seeds produced a harvest. Moral of the story, the good news behind the story is the seed still has a potential. The purpose of your life has its potential. Whether you have fulfilled it all, well, we know none of us have all fulfilled it all because of our awareness, our understanding. So if we increase our understanding, if you increase the fact that those seeds have that potential, and if put into the right environment can actually produce that harvest, that is the good news. It doesn't matter. So for 40 years, maybe 60 years, maybe 20 years, you have had your potential locked up in the tomb of your unbeliefs, the tomb of your wrong thinking, the tomb of your wrong programming. It doesn't matter. Today you can take that seed out of that tomb, you can put it into the right environment, you can water it, you can cultivate it, and it will produce a harvest. It all starts with your programming, and that's going back to the seed that was put in you and putting in the true seeds, the truth about you, and that's what's going to happen in the 21-day fasting and prayer. Just go to those, go to Shield Nation every day, read the posts made by Millionaire Club members that have got their programming right, got their understanding right, so that their potential is a higher level than yours right now. But we need to get your 2 talents into 4, your 5 into 10. Whatever you are, we can help you to double you and to help you increase your contribution. And so what I want to do today is hear from the leaders. How have you changed your program? How have what I talked about today actually been a reality in your life where you had something stuck? And if you can share how you thought one way, you changed how you thought, your beliefs changed, your attitudes, choices, and your behaviors changed, that would be great. So I'm going to turn it over to you, John, and for the rest of the
call. Good. All right. I just got off mute. Man, what a great, I tell you what, I've got so many good notes and just so many amazing thoughts. And what is actually one of the most exciting aspects of what this call or this webinar can do is it reminds me of the first time I walked down to my dock when we moved to Tennessee. My daughter Paige was 5 years old, and I was getting the boat ready to take the kids out tubing, and I see Paige, she reaches over and picks up a fishing pole, and she casts the line out at 5 years old, and, you know, all of a sudden I hear this noise. I look back, and the rod is bent over, you know, like in a big way. I could tell a huge fish was on, and she looks up at me with those just beautiful little eyes, and only the smile a child can give. And, you know, the joy, the happiness that just comes over a dad when you see that is really kind of beyond explanation. And in this webinar this morning, the joy goes beyond even an explanation. When we, team leaders, when we as your business partner get that opportunity to see that switch turn, you know, when you hear Katie tell her story, that does for us as business partners the same thing that watching my daughter catch her first fish does. To see that you can move from that tomb of unbelief, that tomb of improper programming, to the abundance, to the potential of what you were created for. To see that switch is one of the most exciting things. I don't care. I know Darcy, I know many of you are probably the same way. I don't care what the check looks like in the mailbox. I don't, you know, care what you drive. You know, I don't care what the house looks like. What I care is when that heart changes and when your mind starts to accept that and understand the true potential of everything that God put in you. When you start to walk in the fullness of everything you were created for, that's an exciting day. That is so. That's just a special, special, special time. And those talents go from 5 to 10. Those talents go from 2 to 4. So, man, what a great way to kick off 2016. You guys, do me a favor, raise your hand. I got so many things I've just swimming through my mind just in respect to this this webinar. But if you'd like to just share anything that's impacted your life in respect to kind of what Darcy just spoke of, raise your hand. We'll come out to you. I can only see it.
Hey, Dad.
You go to the dashboard and click your hand. And Miss Brielle, is that you?
Yes, sir, it is. I have a couple of people to call on if that's okay with you.
Yeah, rock and roll, absolutely. So just what a great call. And I know you've got all kinds of thoughts to this too. And you're one of those shining examples of surrendering all to the amazing Creator. And man, congratulations on a phenomenal year to you, young lady. Platinum 7, $100,000 ring earner. Just so proud of you, dear. Great job.
Well, thank you so much, Dad. You are awesome. And really, I just want to say thank you to you and Mom and all the amazing leaders out there that kind of were just a part of my life growing up in this business from the age of 12 years old, when I kind of first had seeds planted in my heart about the power of this business when I was traveling with you guys in Philadelphia to, you know, I guess a little bit over 12 years later, you know, let's see, more than quadrupling my annual income at my previous job. About 6 times that, actually, 5 or 6 times that, which is really hard to believe. What's really amazing is the fact that I almost tithe what I used to make an entire year. So the great thing about, you know, making a great income is you can give more, and it's incredibly rewarding. But I just remember the journey I went on, you know, to really change my programming, to know that my limit wasn't $30,000 a year. I remember talking to to both of you about that, you know, that was kind of a goal I had to reach, and why not more? You know, you guys always challenge my thinking to always, you know, challenge myself to be the very best I can be, and I think that it's only just the beginning for a lot of us out here. So speaking of only just the beginning, I want to go out to 2 of my team members who are on the phone tonight, phones this morning, not tonight. 2 incredible team leaders, Miss Laura Barker and Mr. Glenn Spidell. We'll do ladies first. Laura is just an amazing, amazing leader. I wish all of you knew her. Her background is that of an attorney. She practiced for several years and then had some health issues that kind of took her out of practicing. And when she found Legal Shield, it was like the best of both worlds, because she could do what she loves to do, make a difference for others, and still have the time freedom that she has. So, Laura, I just want to ask you kind of how do these principles apply to your life? How have you seen your programming change that's impacted your business, and what are you looking forward to the most in 2016? And feel free to share the recent enrollment you had. So go ahead, Miss Laura Barker, Executive Director.
Well, thank you, Brielle. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, you're great.
Okay, super. So when I found Legal Shield, and I want to say that it found me, really, because I wasn't looking, and when I discovered the mission of this company, my heart immediately got on board. But when I first started working with Legal Shield, I did not have a big vision. I was performance club focused, 5 a month, and was successful in that. But working with Brielle and John and Darcy as well, they helped me to see that I could expand my vision and have a bigger influence, bigger business. And so I started focusing my thoughts and prayers, and I will say mostly prayers, on expanding my mindset, changing my mindset to one of abundance and service through that abundance. And so now I literally pray before every enrollment, just that I may be of service to the people I'm about to present to, and that God's will be done. And if I'm working with a partner, we pray together. If I'm working by myself, I'll pray by myself. I had a phenomenal enrollment in December with a partner of mine, Lyle Harris, and we went to a company, and we went to several different locations. But this last week, we did an enrollment and got 16 out of 17 at the first meeting and 8 out of 8. And the other locations were similar to that. And Brielle had asked me earlier, what did I attribute our good close rates to? And I kind of went through we do this kind of presentation and that. But the truth of the matter is that it is because we rely on God to get us through those presentations and give all the glory to God. So my mindset has completely changed from pre-Legal Shield and when I first started to how I operate my business now. Does that make sense?
That's awesome. Yeah, absolutely. I think you're walking in more confidence and authority than you ever have before. Mm-hmm. And I think I saw the same thing in my own life. Once you've kind of had some success and really trusted the Lord, like you're able to walk in that confidence and authority. So would you agree with that?
Absolutely, I do. Absolutely. The fear, there's just not any fear, and I don't feel rejection anymore. Yeah. God is in control. And
this is Darcy, and the reason you have no fear and the reason you have no rejection is because your motive is right in your heart. And your motive in your heart is to serve people and share with them something you know is right. So there is no rejection when your actual motive is right. You can't be rejected from the right motive. It's when your motive is to get somebody or to make money or commission focus. Your servant focus is all of that, and you now have. But can I share what you do on Friday? You know what I'm talking about? When you have an appointment on Friday that you have to take care of. Laura, are you there?
Yeah, are you talking about me? My appointment?
When you have to go in every Friday for you've been
awful. For my treatment?
Yes.
Yes, you can. Yeah. Do you want me to share that, or do you want?
Yeah, because I want you to understand this is a new person, Laura Barker, who just got started last year, and she is not just building a business. She's been ED over so many months of 2015. A phenomenal leader, greatest attitude, unbelievable. She's breaking new EDs. She's developing incredible leaders on her team, and phenomenal results. But I want to tell you, inside of all this story, she also has one other thing she has to do once a week. And just so if you think your life is tough, I want you to say it's all about programming. all about your choices and attitudes and feelings. But why don't you tell them how you view your weekly appointment?
Okay, so every week I have to do an infusion because I have an illness that I have to manage, and it takes several hours every week, and it's just kind of draining. And then on top of that, I have to get chemotherapy once a month at the hospital, and that sometimes makes me tired for a couple of days. And but I feel very blessed even with that, because really it's those treatments that allow me to do what I can do. So I've been dealing with those now for about 15 years, and I just look at it as that's a meeting. We all have meetings we have to go to, right? Some of them at work or whatever. So that's not my favorite meeting, but I'm glad to have it because it does good for me. So
that's amazing, Laura. That's awesome. Well, thank you for being vulnerable and sharing that. I mean, I don't think I've ever heard you one time ever complain about those appointments or your health, or ever let it be an excuse as to why you can't be successful in this business. So you're an amazing woman, Laura, and we think the world of you.
Oh, thank you so much. You guys are the best.
Have a great day. We'll talk later. Let's go out to the next person who I also just think the world of, Mr. Glenn Slidell. So he is Platinum 4 this month. He started in this business, I think, a little bit over a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago. Background is 25 years in HR. And I think something I've noticed about Glenn is, he's had to change some of his programming, because going from HR to, in a sense, sales is just a different role. And oftentimes I've had to remind Glenn, the fact that you've been 25 years in HR brings so much credibility and rapport to the table. It's unbelievable. So when you do not share that, you're missing an opportunity to relate with an HR director on a level that I could never relate with them on. So Glenn, I wanted to go out to you and just going to ask you, based off of the results of 2015, which you had a great year. What were some programming changes you had to make in your business, and what are you looking to implement in 2016 that is going to produce that much more success and results for you?
Well, thank you, Brielle. I think in many ways I'm a work in progress, and I think that probably the biggest lesson for me in 2015 was the whole issue of habits. One of the items that Darcy and John have continuously been sharing with us throughout the year, the issue of it's what you have control over, it's what you need to focus on, as opposed to the results that you want. And it's something I've been growing in and continue to grow and have got a long way to go, but I'm making progress, so that's a good thing. I'm even thinking, as we go through the webinar today, of things I need to do today after 10:30 comes. Okay, what am I going to do? Who do I need to call? What emails do I need to send? It's that the sewing process. And then another thing I want to add from the webinar, the concept of a 21-day period of prayer and fasting that Darcy has proposed. As soon as that slide popped up, I said, yeah, that is a very good idea. And I've already been thinking about, okay, what do I need to fast so I can really focus and participate in the 21 days, every day, get on ShieldNation, get the inspiration, and have a 21-day focus in that direction, which underscores, too, what Laura was talking about in regard to the role of prayer and expectation relative to God's action in terms of our faithfulness. So many things going on here. This webinar is very helpful. Great kickoff to the year, and I really appreciate it, Darcy. So again, my answer again to your question, Brielle, is the issue of habits and activity, I think, is the real key. And it's been great to have an opportunity to work with you and participate in what you've been able to accomplish. And also I get to work with people like Laura and Linda Blankenship and Brittany Hoffman and other great people. So the fact that we can do this on a team basis too is a big, big plus, and many thanks for that opportunity.
Boy, hey, Brielle, right there, just as two quick testimonials of seeds that got into the right environment. And, you know, congratulations to Laura and Glenn. I just love hearing their stories, and just so excited that that seed is planted in such fertile soil, and just watching the yield is just amazing. Back to you.
Well said. Thank you, Glenn, so much, and look forward to this being just an even more amazing year for you and for your amazing family. Let's go back out to some of the leaders on the call. Mr. C.J. Arditi, I always like going out to you because you are one of the hungriest, most passionate, just excited young men I've met in this business. And so just wanted to hear your thoughts on the webinar and what you're looking forward to most about 2016 in your business. You there?
Yes, Ms. Hoffman, I am. Thank you so much. Kind words. You know, I always have a lot of stuff running through my mind on these webinars that you all host. They're just amazing, and coming back to scripture, it's just so unbelievable. I would say that for me personally, that's the #1 thing that changed everything in my business. Your parents came out, Mr. and Mrs. Hoffman came out to New Jersey one day in February, and really influenced our organization with a better way, a more proper way of doing this business. And I, for one, have absolutely took that to heart. And ever since you started talking about, you know, riddling your trainings with scripture has changed my life. My life has shifted in a way where the word is very important to me, and I truly run my business that way. So those two forces have helped evolve my business. And you know, the one thing I want to point out to the webinar, the story of the talents, is amazing, because I look at that in my own organization of associates. Our associates, some are going to do very little to practically nothing, and you look at that and say, you know, why? It's such a wonderful opportunity. You have such a great skill set. You know, that's just the way it is. Other associates, they're gonna do 5. Other associates, they're gonna do 10. And it's not our responsibility to make sure that the 5s do 10 and the 10s do 20 and the 0s do, you know, 1. We can encourage, but we should never ever look down on anybody for what they do. So really, I run my business according to, you know, how would God want me to handle this situation, and how would I truly treat other people? I want to be treated the same way. So that's really just my thoughts on all of this. I think the 21-day fast is amazing. Again, I'm glad to be a part of such a faithful organization. I know that we're in the right hands, and you know, the future is ours. And again, just congratulations to you and your amazing success. Congratulations to, you know, Katie Huff for, you know, the Millionaire Club status of the year. It's amazing. And really to the whole ShieldNation organization, have done it. Fantastic. So thank you so much for coming out to me and letting me share. Back to you.
Absolutely. Look forward to you getting your ring in 2016. Yeah?
Oh, and then some. And we're going to have a few other ring earners along with that one. So stay tuned.
Okay. Just making sure. All right. Good deal. Well, thank you so much for sharing. You are awesome. Let me go out to some other great leaders. Somebody that I dearly love, Miss Sharon Okanowski. Are you on the call, and would you like to share some thoughts on the webinar this morning? Sharon, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Can you hear me all right? Well, I'm just so excited for all of the team and the Hoffman family and you, and I've watched you grow and develop from a lovely young lady to a lovely leader. And I'm so excited to be a part of this team. And, you know, I've had some challenges of the past couple of years with health issues in my family. And, you know, sometimes you let it get to you, but being involved with a faithful leadership as the Hoffman family has really helped so much. And I am so excited for 2016. I know that I am going to be more successful, help more people, and really be more servant in my thoughts because of these trainings. And so I'm just very, very, very excited about it. And so is my husband. And so we can't wait to see how many people we can help in 2016. And I'm going to add my name to that list of so many leaders that have moved to new levels. So thank you all for so much support over the years.
So we can count on you getting your ring too in 2016?
Yes.
That's what I like to hear. And I want to go out to someone else who we have just love and appreciate so much, Miss Teresa Johnson. I know that you and I have spoken a lot, and you're hungry to get that ring too. So what's the call this morning, Miss Teresa Johnson?
Yes, Ms. Hoffman, thank you so much for having me on the call this morning. And, you know, I am so excited for all of the success that ShieldNation as a whole is having. And, you know, and particularly the success that you're having. And I say that because I said this on the last webinar. I've been able to watch you really literally grow up in this business and develop and become the person that you are today. And so my hat is definitely off to you and all of your success, as well as the leadership that you bring to this team. And, you know, my thoughts for this year, 2016, is truly going to be an amazing year. And I know that we hear that, and that might sound cliche-ish to some people, but that's truly what I feel in my heart. And this morning, I guess I'm like Ms. Huff, Katie Huff this morning. I get a little emotional because the best part about ShieldNation is that we have that spiritual connection. That it really isn't just about whether or not someone sells a membership and makes you an override commission. It is truly about helping people to succeed in their lives. It's helping to change lives. It's helping to give people new options. And with all the things that corporate has put in place, this is such an incredible time for us to be able to help people to move to a higher level, to achieve additional income, to share this with so many people who need the service. They just don't even know that it even exists. But we have a mission. We have a mission to get the word out to as many people as possible. And that's what we all have to do. And I can see that this year the list looks great this year. But I will tell you, just halfway into the year, that list is going to grow leaps and bounds because everyone is going to be taking full advantage. But we all have to be passionate about what we do. But more importantly, we've got to be passionate about our alliance with God, our commitment to God. When He sees the commitment in us, He can then provide favor for us in our lives, no matter what it is that we want to do. And, you know, that belief, that's got to start with you, because He can put everything in place. But if you don't believe that you can have that, if you don't have the belief the size of a mustard seed, then it's not going to happen, because you've got to have the belief and know that it's all going to happen. So I see 2016 as being an amazing year for not only this team, but for what I can personally do to help everyone, specifically on my team, as well as myself. And as Bruce Ziegler says, if you help enough people get what they want, you get everything that you want, and that's what it's all about. So hats off to you once again. Hats off to ShieldNation as a whole. And I just look forward to seeing everyone in OKC celebrating all of the success along the way. Back to you, Ms. Hoffman.
Well, this is Darcy. Back to Darcy again. Thank you, Teresa. You're just an amazing leader. You've been on the team forever, all the way back to the very beginning of really developing our organization. We've walked such beautiful roads with you, and we'd like to go out to either Bob, if you're out there, or Tracy Richards. Are you out there? Can you share? I'd like to hear from somebody who is a little dynamo down in the Orlando conference with ShieldNation. Or Tracy, are you out there? Or Bob, are you out there? Bob Cohen?
Bob,
Bob's here, yep.
Oh, here's Bob. Okay. Bob, what's going on with you today?
Like Mr. Hoffman, my mind is just completely flooded. Just, you know, it almost reminds me of The Matrix. You know, the movie The Matrix, where, you know, you take, I forget, either the red pill or the blue pill. You know, one of the pills you take and just everything opens up, you know, a whole new world. If you don't take the pill, then, you know, you continue with society, you know, wants you to be, and really society wants to dumb you down, and it's just absolutely sick, actually. And Darcy, I just so appreciate you pouring in. You know, I don't know, you're probably traveling, you're in the lobby right now, you know, just what you pour into all of us, which you've always done, you and John, and here's Trish, you know, recording this for everybody. So, folks, our job is to make information. You know, I congratulate everyone who's live on the webinar. We've got the right habit that we're doing. Now we just got to make sure our team understands these philosophies and you know, the habits workbook, because it truly is changing lives. We're so fortunate we get to be with a company that we change people's lives. There's not too many things out there that we're in this position to do. It's pretty mind-blowing. And so just real quick, you know, I've turned off the TV, the negative news, the negative newspapers. I've done that for years. You know, folks, if you can just get into that habit right there, amazing what that will do. The law of association, so important. Boy, I've worked harder on that. You know, hanging around the more positive people, staying away from the negative people. Oh my gosh, that's so draining. And again, just, you know, reading 10 pages of a good positive book a day, you know, first thing in the morning or last thing before you go to bed, listening to positive, you know, from the Jim Rohns to the Les Browns to John C. Maxwell, just positive programming, you know, kind of like that glass of water that you got to pour in the good stuff to, you know, get rid of some of that negative stuff. So those are just some thoughts for me. Excited to be in the Southern California market here. We've got a big Super Saturday, and, you know, if you haven't plugged into your local events, make sure you check the calendars, because, again, I'd rather hang out with positive people who have my, you know, future in mind rather than the negative people that are just complaining. Thanks so much again. Back to you.
Amen to that. Good comments, Bob. Thank you so much for your leadership. Hey, everyone, it's 10:31. It's time to close out the call, but wanted to just say something before we close it out. I don't know if you subscribe to James Rousseau's quote of the day, but today it says, "My philosophy of life is that if we make up our mind what we are going to make of our lives, then work hard toward that goal, we never lose. Somehow we always win out." Ronald Reagan. And the reason why I thought that was important to share today is just because we were talking about mindset. And I think that some of you just need to decide, make a decision what kind of goal you're going to aim for, and obviously commit to the habits that are going to, you know, get you to that goal. I've talked to a lot of you out there, and, you know, I hear oftentimes, "Oh, I can't believe I'm still sitting at director. I'm not qualifying for ED consecutively," or "I still can't believe I haven't got my ring," or this or that. You know, so I think that something I did is I decided I was going to commit to ED every month, no matter how hard it was to get there. I decided I was going to get to the ring. I decided, you know, and I'm, you know, creating new goals for myself. So whatever 2016, well, first of all, 2016 has great things in store for all of us, because that's God's promise to us. But go ahead and decide, what is it that you're going to commit to? Make a decision and let's go for it. And as always, as a Shield Nation leadership and as the Hoffman family, we love you and we support you. So whatever we can do to help you get there, we're all about it. So let's make 2016 the best year yet. We love you guys. Look forward to you guys participating in 21 days of prayer and fast. And if you have any questions, just let us know. Have a wonderful and blessed day, and we will talk to you soon. Thank you so much. Bye.